Yo, what's up? Welcome to a Friday edition of the Opening Line. Corey and Benny coming at you. What are we? I think we're 48 days away from kickoff of the 2019 NFL season. Benny is getting closer. Not too many more weeks go by. There's not going to be no football on television.
Hey, that's good. We actually have a little preseason action that's going to be starting in a couple weeks as well. I think we're only like 2 weeks away from that or so.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame game will be 2 weeks from yesterday. So we're 14 days away from the Hall of Fame game. Speaking of the Hall of Fame, I have a chance to go out there this year, Benny, Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, to represent Elite Fantasy in the Kings Classic. So I'm looking forward to that, getting a chance to go out there to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a Dallas Cowboy fan, obviously the triplets, you know what I'm saying? I can never not get enough of Tony Dorsett's 99-yard touchdown run, which is the greatest run in NFL history. Screw Derrick Henry. As a Jet fan, though, Benny, if you was to go to the Hall, what would you be looking for?
So I've actually been to the Hall.
Oh, really? How is it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, again, like I've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame. I've been to the Football Hall of Fame. I've been to the Basketball Hall of Fame. The baseball one is probably my favorite. I'm not going to lie. Basketball honestly kind of sucked. The football one was pretty cool, though. I mean, again, there's a lot of film there. There's a lot of pictures there. There's a lot of, memorabilia of guys that played in the past. I kind of skipped over the old timers room where they got the leather helmets and stuff like that. Honestly, as a Jets fan, there's not much that you're really looking at there. When I was there, it was before Curtis Martin was in. For me, Curtis Martin would have been the guy, who I would have been excited to see.
Curtis Martin was a great running back.
Yeah, I love Curtis Martin. He was my favorite. I actually still have my Curtis Martin jersey. I for years and years, I kept buying Jets jerseys, and the guy I kept buying, I got like Jonathan Vilma, then they traded him. Kerry Rhodes, and then they traded. I had all these guys that they kept trading. So I was like, you know what? From now on, I was like, I'm keeping all this shit in the back of my closet. I'm just going to wear the Curtis Martin jersey from now on. So
Curtis Martin, that one right there aged well. You know what I'm saying? The Kerry Rhodes one, not so much.
You know what the funny thing is like the Curtis Martin jersey, you wear it to the games and like people still like give you a nod like, oh, Curtis Martin. I'm like, yeah, So
what about the Kerry Rhodes one if you wear that one?
I don't know. I refuse to wear the Kerry Rhodes one. So
I don't blame you.
I still have it. It's dug somewhere in the back of one of my closets, if it's still around here.
Going downhill quickly. Like, soon as those pictures came out, everybody was like, yo, I'm out. They didn't want nothing to do with him.
You know what was crazy, though, was he had, like, a really good rookie year.
Yep.
Then his second year, he was, like, okay. Then he got hurt. And then I think they traded him, or they drafted somebody and they traded him. And then all of a sudden, like, he just fell off the planet.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, like you said, with the pictures thing, it was another thing, too. But,
nowadays, the pictures wouldn't mean as much, you know what I'm saying? Like, but back in that time, you still, probably was even less than a decade ago, maybe, but still, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But what about Mark Gastineau? Mark Gastineau not in the Hall of Fame, is he? No. But you might have something about the New York Sack Exchange, though.
I was just going to say, there's probably something there about the Sack Exchange. I don't remember seeing it if there was. But again, that was a little bit before my time, too. Like, that was, I was like 5-6 years old. That was early 80s when that was really coming around. So that wasn't really my era, so I don't really have that much of a, if they had like Chad Pennington and, Testaverde there, that's how bad it is being a Jet fan, Corey. I'm almost 40 years old, and that's the best highlights I have of my life are like Vinny Testaverde and Bill Parcells almost getting us there,
I'm trying to think. I feel like Dolphin game.
I had an Al Toon jersey when I was little, like, Toon's probably in there, I would assume.
Man.
Yeah, Al Toon was the dude. I was actually remember the Dan Marino fake spike game?
Yes.
I was actually at the Dan Marino fake spike game when I was like probably about 10 or 12 years old at that point in time. So that was one of the coolest Jet games I've ever seen, even though they wound up losing because they, fell for the fake spike play. So that's where it all started. For anybody who watches the fake spike play right now, it started with the Jets losing a game on it.
Yeah, I remember that very vividly. I think your biggest opportunity most recently was that week. It was either week 15 or 16 game against the Giants when both teams were in playoff contention. It goes down in history now as the Victor Cruz game. But that game was one play away from the Jets dominating that game. And then the Victor Cruz thing happened, and the Giants never looked back as they went on to luck their way into another Super Bowl in 2011.
Yeah, I mean, Jets one play away is kind of the story of our existence as Jet fans.
It's gonna be on the Jet fan grave. They were one play away.
If only this happened, it's gonna be on my tombstone.
So speaking of the Kings Classic, when we go out there, I've got a fantasy football auction I'll be competing in. The auction is my favorite style to play fantasy football right now. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact that you have the whole board basically to yourself. You can kind of put the team together like a true general manager. There's no draft spot to tie you into certain players. You can go out there and get your guys and see how it all shakes out and coming together. Unlike fantasy baseball, where the cap is mainly in baseball is 15 teams with $260 worth of budget. And football is normally 12 to 14 teams with $200 worth of budget. Obviously, the wide receivers and the running backs are the one that garner the most attention. Some of the prices I'm going to talk about with Benny right now are from a 12-team PPR with 6 points per the quarterback touchdown. You can start 2 running backs, 3 wides, a flex, a tight end, and then it's reserved for the rest of the rounds besides your kicker and your defense. And some of the things that let's just start at the top right quick. From what I'm looking at, Benny, the highest priced player was a $62 Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay. So 60, you said there's 200, right? So basically, I'm just doing it in percentages. That's why I'm asking. So about 31% of your cap.
A third of the budget goes to Ezekiel Elliott.
I don't think that's crazy. That's about what the stud players usually wind up going for in these.
Second highest priced player was a $61 Christian McCaffrey. Okay. Then there was a $60 Saquon Barkley.
Okay, I mean, all that makes sense to me. That's the range that these guys are going in. Those are the 3 guys you would expect to be there.
Interestingly enough, Alvin Kamara goes for $57. Kamara was the value.
Yeah, I mean, you save a couple bucks on Alvin Kamara. But that's kind of the way it's been going now, right? I mean, Zeke and McCaffrey and Barkley have been 1, 2, 3 in just about every draft I've been in, with Kamara being 4. So, that's the way it should work out money-wise as well when you're in an auction.
When you look at the wide receivers, I see a $45 DeAndre Hopkins, a $46 Devontae Adams. Juju Smith-Schuster is at 40. Odell Beckham is at 43. Michael Thomas, 45. Mike Evans, 35. T.Y. Hilton, 31. T.Y. Hilton is always a bargain in our auction leagues. Julio Jones is at 43. Those are some of the top wide receiver prices, Benny.
All right, so you're talking about 22% of your cap here for the wide receivers. Wide receivers being 3/4 the price of the running backs, which that's not crazy from the top end. Okay, so that actually sits there in line. Yeah, I mean, T.Y. Hilton at 31, like you said, if all these other guys are going for 45, seems like a value. You're getting him at 2/3 the price of all these other top-end wide receivers that are going out there. So that's interesting to me. I still think I'd rather pay the 60 for one of the big running backs than start my team with paying 45 for one of the big wide receivers.
Really?
Yeah, I'd prefer to have one of those top backs and then go with like a T.Y. Hilton as opposed to – well, what are the second-tier running backs going for?
Well, I'm about to say, would you be willing to buy – would you be willing to start with like a $45 Odell and like a and like a $60 I don't know, a $60 Christian McCaffrey? You tie up 105 of your budget into 2 players.
See, I don't know if I would really want to build that way. That's why I was saying, what are the second tier? Because like if you take one of those top 4 guys, top 4 running backs at 60, you're probably looking at a T.Y. at 31 as your second, your first wide receiver. But if you go with one of those $45 wide receivers, that's why I asked what are the secondary running backs going for? Because if you can get, some of those guys in that second tier there that we've been talking about for 30-ish, then you're talking about 2 studs for 75. So you could actually end up with, for the same price it would cost you to get Odell Beckham and one of the top 4 guys, McCaffrey or Saquon, you could actually end up with Odell Beckham and maybe like Damian Williams and
Damian Williams 45. Right here. I was not in this league. My guess is a $45 Damian Williams means that he was thrown out early.
Yeah, and I would probably stay away from him. And, that's a good point.
I love Damian Williams. I'm not paying $45 for Damian Williams.
You actually made a good point, too, for people who've never played in an auction before. Sometimes what you want to do in an auction is get other people to spend their money. So if there's a guy that you're not high on, you throw him out there early. Like Todd Gurley is probably going to be somebody who gets thrown out early in these leagues because there are people who are still willing to pay $40, $45 for him, and there are other people who don't want to touch him this year. So if you're one of those people who doesn't want to touch him, you want other people to be spending their money so they have less money to bid against you on the guys that you actually want. So when it's your turn to throw somebody out there, like Todd Gurley's a good guy to throw out there if you're not on the Todd Gurley bandwagon this year because there's going to be somebody out there who overpays for him.
Now, here's the deal. It's funny you mentioned that. For years, and this year I won't have a chance to do it, but for years when it was my first throw, it was always Rob Gronkowski because I was never going to pay for Rob Gronkowski. Now, you know, back in the day, you would get $20 on the tight end off the table, right off the rip. Now that's coming down to, last year I think I got 14, 15 off the table with that tight end going out early and Rob Gronkowski. A player I'll likely be my first throw this year could be a guy like David Johnson. And this auction, he went for 53. But, Benny, those second-tier running backs, here's 2 right here. Well, I give you a couple.
Go ahead. Let me get some prices.
James Conner, 36. Nick Chubb, 33.
I like both of those a lot, actually.
Those are excellent right there.
You can get Nick Chubb, James Conner, and T.Y. Hilton for $100. Those 3.
Right, that's 3 players right there. You know what I'm saying?
That's a nice start to a team.
You don't know this going into the damn auction. That's the problem.
Yeah. And again, the one thing about auctions too that people need to understand is like I've been in auctions before where I've done my research and I'm like, all right, this is what this guy's going for. This is what this guy's going for. Like here's a good example. Corey's a big Dallas Cowboys fan. If Corey's all set on no matter what, I'm going to go get Zeke. Even if Zeke's been going for 55 or 60 in other leagues, Corey might say, screw it, I'm willing to pay 80 for him. And every time you bid, he might be bidding you up. So go into an auction with a plan, but just realize that things don't always go to plan in an auction.
No doubt. Last year in my big NFFC auction, it was myself at the table, and it was I can't think of my man's name now. He goes by his moniker is Respect the Star. You know what I'm saying? I can't think his real name.
On Twitter?
Huh?
On Twitter, Respect the Star?
He's not even on Twitter. He's probably not even on Twitter. It's his He's like, if you ever watch some of those fantasy football documentaries and stuff like that, Eddie Gillis, that's his name, Eddie Gillis. Okay. Eddie Gillis, Respect the Star. So
Cowboys guy, I assume.
Exactly. So everybody at the table, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, there's going to be this big bidding war for Ezekiel Elliott. And I was thinking to myself, no, it's not, because I'm not – see, what I do at auctions, Benny, is the night before I make my team, right? And then I say, okay, if this doesn't happen, I'm going for this guy. If this doesn't happen, I'm going for that guy. So I'm coming in there with a one sheet already ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And then I know where I'm going if certain things don't happen. Last year, I was going to go – my top priority was Devontae Adams. I was like, I'm willing to pay up to, up right to $50 for Devontae Adams. Then I got it for like 47. But when Zeke came out and it got into like the 49, I'm up there bidding. You know what I'm saying? Because I know he's going to get him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I don't want him. But all I'm really doing is taking him as far as he can go. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you don't want to give a player to somebody else for cheap. I mean, there are times in auctions where I'll bid on guys that I don't really want just because I know that the guy next to me wants him so bad that he'll come over me again. And again, you get screwed every once in a while doing that. There are times when it happens.
He'll drop out on you.
Yeah. But that's why I don't mind doing it like when you're in the 30s and 40s and you think that somebody's just too cheap. Throw a bet out there if you're willing to have the guy there. Be very careful when you start getting up into the 50s and stuff, though, because the last thing you want to do is get stuck with the guy paying $50 for a guy that isn't really one of your guys. And that's happened to me before. And then you just go on tilt in the auction and you just start doing dumb stuff. And I've completely screwed up auction drafts by doing stuff like that before. So remember, the idea is to get your guys, but it's always nice to bid people up and kind of make them pay more so that they don't have the money to get the other guys you want later.
Have the thing is to make the most important thing in an auction is to have a plan going in. If you don't have a plan, some of these dudes will eat you alive. Nick, Chubb and Connor, Chubb for 33, Connor for 36, which is fabulous buys right there. We told you about Damian Williams for 45. Aaron Jones at 30 is too much for me. Dalvin Cook at 36, Benny.
I like Dalvin Cook at 36. What did Mixon go for?
Joe Mixon. This is interesting too, and I think this is a perfect example of where he was thrown out at. Mixon went for 42.
Whoa.
Yeah. See that makes me think he was either the last of the big backs or he was one of the first of the big backs.
I'm thinking he was one of the last of the big backs. The 42 sounds like somebody lost out on a bid for, one of the big guys and just wanted to make sure they had somebody in their first tier of running backs, and he was the bottom. Because I have him ahead of a lot of the guys that we mentioned, the Connors and those guys, but I don't think he's anywhere near as close to.
He's not $10 more than. He's not $9 more than Chubb.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like I have him. He's either the last guy in the first tier or one of the top guys in that tier with Chubb and all the names are mentioned in here, Connor and Cook and all those guys.
Le'Veon Bell goes for 49, which is probably about the right price for Le'Veon Bell. Would you agree?
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I mean, again, unless you're really worried about the Gase thing, but I still think Le'Veon Bell is going to be a big part of the Jets offense. I actually, you know what annoys me, Corey, as a Jets fan? So far, and again, I haven't done like all my drafts, but I don't have all my Le'Veon Bell yet. Like, I don't have a single share of Le'Veon Bell yet.
I will have at least one. Like, I'm going to do less leagues this year, but I will have at least one team with Le'Veon Bell. I'm just a Le'Veon Bell supporter. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of the guy, and I'm not going to just listen. Adam Gase is not going to ruin this thing, so I'm going down with Lev Bell. So I'll have him. Another interesting one. Back to the wide receivers bidding. $38 Antonio Brown.
I think that's I think it's a little too much when we're talking about, like, you said, like, guys like D-Hop and that are 45, right?
Devontae Adams 46, D-Hop 45, Michael Thomas 45, Odell 43. Where's Julio? Julio 43 also.
I mean, I would rather have all those guys than Antonio Brown. So, I mean, I think price-wise compared to where those guys went, he's about in the right range. Who are the guys that are around him at 39?
So when you come down in that same price,
Keenan
Allen is 35. Mike Evans is 35.
I mean, personally, I'd rather have Evans and Keenan Allen than Antonio Brown and save a couple bucks.
Okay. This is interesting right here. And me and Jeff talked about this on the Fantasy Football Elite podcast.
Go ahead.
Chris Godwin. $22 for Chris Godwin. Steph Diggs goes for 21.
That doesn't make any sense.
The Godwin hype is real, son. And I'm like, let's slow down on Chris Godwin.
I mean, listen, I think the kid's good. Don't get me wrong there. But I wouldn't take him over Stephen Diggs. $22 seems like a lot. I mean, listen.
That's a lot. That is a lot, son.
Last year, his role was basically red zone touchdown scorer, right? Like, he came in. He was the guy that they used in the red zone instead of Deshaun Jackson.
And most of that was with, if I'm not mistaken, most of Godwin's production came with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah. So if you're really buying into this Godwin hype, you got to be thinking that he's going to take over the Djax role and still have that other role that he had, which, I don't think is crazy, but I would like to see a guy do it before I put him ahead of a guy like Diggs, who has been a week winner. Like, this is a guy who's been on multiple Millie Maker winning rosters, and even on a down year last year, still put up some pretty decent numbers. So I don't know if I would take him over Diggs, but I understand the hype between Godwin. I see what people are seeing and why they think he can get there. You know, again, you look at this offense now, new offensive coordinator. You're going to have Jameis healthy, hopefully, for the whole year. There is some upside to looking at Tampa Bay in the passing game. But I really do think that people are kind of hyping Godwin a little too much.
Yeah, that $22 price and then that 4th, 5th round draft price is also a little bit too much for me for Chris Godwin. Kenny Godwin goes for 22. Kenny Golladay goes for 23. I mean, that's.
I'd rather have Golladay. Yeah,
I'd rather have Golladay. Thielen goes for 25.
I would much rather have Thielen. I love Thielen. I think that's, to me. I'll tell you right now, if you're going to be putting your team list together, if you can get Thielen at 25, you
give me that, because you at 25, you might be able to get him as a wide receiver 3.
That's what I'm saying. That's way too cheap for Thielen. To me, Thielen's the back end of he's the last guy I have on like my wide receiver 1 tier.
Yeah, I can agree.
That's how high I am on him.
Tyler Lockett, $21.
I like it. He's going to be their number 1, basically. He's their number 1 in Seattle. 21, I think, is cheap for him.
Tyler Boyd for 20.
I don't think you're overspending, but I don't think that's a value. Let's say it that way.
I agree. Jarvis Landry at 15.
I mean, again, we know that he's going to take a hit with Odell Beckham in there, but 15's kind of cheap. You know, the other thing that scares me, Corey, is in the middle of the year when they changed offensive coordinators, you saw his production change a lot too.
Yeah.
You know, and then, I mean, we've talked about it a couple times, your whole thing with Baker and the height thing and him seeing him. So
he ain't getting no taller this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like Jarvis Landry. I don't want to make it sound like I don't, but he's not a guy that I'm really spending on in fantasy.
You know what I say this about Jarvis Landry? Jarvis Landry is probably Jarvis Landry is better. Jarvis Landry is more valuable to the Browns than he is to your fantasy football team.
Yes, agree. 100% agree. And there are always certain guys like that. You know, Kyle Hendricks in baseball is the same way for the Cubs. Pitcher for the Cubs doesn't give up a lot of runs, but doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. So I never use him in fantasy, but in DFS, I'm also never playing against him. You know what I mean? So he's one of those kind of guys.
One of the real true enigmas of the 2019 season comes in at $30, and that is Mr. A.J. Green.
Listen, here's basically what you're doing with A.J. Green. You're rolling the dice because a healthy A.J. Green should be up there in that 40-45 range with those stud wide receivers. The problem is if A.J. Green gets hurt, then the $20 Tyler Eifert looks like a bargain Tyler Boyd looks like a bargain because you're going to get a lot of production out of him. It really just comes down to how healthy A.J. Green is. Like I said, a healthy A.J. Green is a top 10 NFL wide receiver, and he should have been $10 or $15 more. The $10 or $15 you're saving on A.J. Green is the injury risk discount that you're getting on him. So that's the way you got to look at it.
What would you rather have, Benny? A $13 Corey Davis or a $12 Robbie Anderson?
I'm going to say the $13 Corey Davis. I mean, I'm not I love Robbie Anderson, man. I'm the president of the Robbie Anderson fan club. If I buy another Jets jersey this year, that's the one. The number 11 is my number anyway. You know, the number 11 Jets jersey would be the one that I buy. Robbie Anderson is going to have a couple big games where he gets hit down the field deep. I don't see Robbie Anderson, though, being a guy who's going to get a lot of targets. Like, Corey Davis is a guy, especially because I feel like they're going to be losing a lot of games this year. Corey Davis is the number 1 receiver on Tennessee. You know, I mean, they're technically, I guess they're both the number 1 receiver, but the rest of Tennessee's wide receiving core, to me, is not as good as the Jets. The Jets, you have, you know, once he comes back from suspension, you got a solid tight end in Herndon. You know, you're going to have guys like Quincy Enunwa and Crowder, who they picked up in the offseason. Those are other guys that are going to get targets. Le'Veon Bell is going to get targets out of the backfield. There's just more mouths to feed there in the passing game. Tennessee is going to run the ball a lot, but when they don't run the ball, they basically just force it to Corey Davis to try to get first downs. That's kind of their third down strategy.
No doubt. Speaking of Tennessee, I just saw something interesting. Throw this by you right quick. Derrick Henry, $24.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good price for him.
Tariq Cohen, 18.
PPR?
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't really love that, but it's okay.
I agree with you. 18's a lot for, I don't want to call him a gimmick or a gadget player. A $10 Mark Ingram is fantastic.
Oh, my God. Sign me up for that right now.
No doubt.
I would rather pay 18 if you're talking about Cohen and Ingram. I'd rather pay 18 for Ingram than for Cohen.
100%. I agree with you on that. I'd rather pay 18 for Cohen than Ingram. I agree with you totally on that. Highest wide receiver was 46. No wide receiver reaches $50, but you get 1, 2, 3 running backs at over 60. So I think that's the reason for that. Well, you get four running backs over 60. With David Johnson coming in at that 53, 5, Kamara coming in at 57. So we're seeing that the top end money is going towards the big running backs and not the big wide receivers.
David Johnson went for over 52.
Yep.
I don't know if I would do that. Yep. I don't know if I would do that either. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
See, Benny, it's like all this value with these running back prices so high. I feel like why not just go get Devontae Adams and Odell Beckham?
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I mean, if you have all these people that are paying literally 25% or more of their salary for running backs, I mean, you could go and put together a team with. I'm trying to think of some of the names that we mentioned here. Like, you said Chubb was
Julio and T.Y. Hilton together. Right, and spend 89 plus what you do better than math than me. That's 90.
Yeah, what are the numbers? Give me the numbers.
46.
Okay.
43 and 31.
So 89, 120.
120 for those 3 wide receivers, and that gives you $80 to fill out your roster. You get a $10 Mark Ingram. You get a $10 Mark Ingram, and you get a
You could always – one thing I know about auction drafts is you could always save on quarterback.
Yes.
Unless it's a 2-quarterback draft or a super flex, because that would really screw things up. But if it's a 1-quarterback league, you can always find a good quarterback for kind of cheap in the 12 to 20 range. You can always
6 points per quarterback touchdown. I was saving these quarterback numbers for you.
Good.
Cam Newton, $4.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You could always save because there's always value there. So you don't have to get crazy with that. You know what I wanted to ask you about, though? Go ahead. We'll talk quarterbacks, but before we get off here, I want to know tight ends.
Russell Wilson, $5.
Yeah. This is what happens all the time in these drafts. That's what I'm saying. So you could always get a cheap quarterback.
Now, overpriced, Baker Mayfield, $11.
Okay. What did Mahomes go for?
Mahomes went for $27.
I would never do that.
No, me neither.
But I get why whoever did. But on a 6-point PPR, I mean, he could put up some damage. You're
in your game every week. You're in it every week. But if you look at the team that paid the $27 Mahomes, right?
Yeah. Who else does he have?
You got a $45 Damian Williams, right?
Okay.
A $6 Jordan Howard.
Nah.
A $43 Beckham.
Okay.
A $15 Jarvis Landry.
He has Beckham and Landry?
Yeah. Let me not say that. Let me not say stupid. But I disagree with it.
Yeah. I wouldn't have done it either, but go ahead.
A $3 Geronimo Allison, which is actually makes his wide receiver. That's a great pick. The $8 Tevin Coleman will erase the $6 Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I'd rather have Coleman than Howard.
He has a $2 Dante Moncrief, which if that hits, listen, it's not bad. With an $8 Rashard Penny, somebody has the hit, so that stint to Jordan Howard doesn't mess things up. But it's not bad. I just don't like the Odell with Landry. If you swap Landry out for like a Cooper Kupp at 14, then I'm like, okay, you made it work with the big price quarterback.
Right. You know what? It's honestly, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
That's not as bad as I thought it would be either.
No, that guy got a couple again, like you said, he needs one of those other running backs to really hit. But I mean, he's got guys that could. He's got Penny. He's got Tevin Coleman. I don't know about you. I'm not a huge fan of Jordan Howard. Like even if he does wind up as the main guy, I don't think he's going to be the only guy. So I don't think there's enough volume there to really love it. You're going to need probably multiple injuries to the stable full of running backs they have in Philly for him to pop, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one right there. But like I said, you can get Andrew Luck. As far as some of the other high price, second highest priced quarterback was Deshaun Watson at 18, Benny, and Andrew Luck at 19.
I don't think I would pay for anybody but Mahomes. Like, to me, it's you go for best in class because he's head and shoulders above everybody else in the 6-point PPR, or you just wait and you grab one of these, Cam Newton at $4, at Russell Wilson at $5, something like that. And I mean, again, you know me, I usually either wait on quarterback or try to find one cheap. So I'd be in the bargain bin with the Cam Newtons and the Russell Wilsons for $5. I'm probably not spending it.
Matt Ryan goes for $6.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's too many of those guys that are too cheap that I don't think I need to reach, and I probably won't reach.
Yeah, no doubt. So I would agree with you on that. That's an excellent point you make, Benny. If you're not going for Mahomes at the 27, then there's no reason to even fool around in that mid-tier range with Watson and Mayfield and Luck and some of those guys. All great players, but you can get that kind of production if you're going to pay. You asked about Dak Prescott at 2 is phenomenal. Trubisky at 1 is great. Cousins at 2. So that's one of the places where you can really make up ground. Yeah. I would not put a player like Mahomes. That's the first guy I'm throwing out because I want that money. I want that money off the board quickly. What you say?
Oh no, I was just coughing. Good.
Oh, I want that money off the board. Why does this dude keep? I want that money off the board quickly. Tight ends you were asking about.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get an idea of what these tight ends are going for, because to me there's a clear hierarchy between the top 3, and even the top 3 there's a clear hierarchy too of Kelsey. And then have you seen people starting to pick Kittles over Ertz? How do you feel about that Kittles versus Ertz as the number 2 tight end?
I would still go with Ertz as a tight end too. I don't know what Jimmy Garoppolo is. You know what I'm saying? Coming back off that injury, that would concern me. You know what I mean? So Kittle is a guy that's more than likely off my board this year. With that being said, yeah, if I'm going to pay up for a tight end, I don't normally pay up for tight ends. If I'm paying up, I got to know it's going to hit. Now, this auction, Travis Kelce goes for $32.
Okay. I feel like that's cheap, but go ahead.
Oh, you like that?
I like that.
All right. That's interesting. Zach Ertz goes for $29.
Okay. I'd much rather have Kelsey for the extra $3, to be honest. But go ahead.
George Kittle goes for $26.
So here's my thing, and here's why I say this, right? So here's why I don't mind spending up for one of these 3 guys in an auction. One of the things you have to think about is, positional eligibility, right? And the difference between, Mahomes and all the other quarterbacks. To me, there's a clear hierarchy where Mahomes is on top, and then there's a group of guys that are a big notch below, which are the guys in that middle range that I said I didn't want. Yeah. And then all the other guys are right behind them. So to me, there's not enough of a difference between the $15 to $18 quarterbacks and the $4 and $5 quarterbacks that I'd be willing to spend the extra $10. But there is a big enough difference between the $14, $15 quarterbacks and Mahomes at $25, $27 that I'd be willing to spend. At the tight end position, to me, the difference between Kelsey, Ertz, and Kittle versus literally everybody else, like the second tier of Ingram and Hunter and those guys, is a really large gap. So I'm willing to spend up on those guys because I feel like having a Kelsey, an Ertz, or a Kittle is going to give you a major advantage over the guys who are starting, that second tier of the Evan Ingrams, the Njokus, the O.J. Howards, the Hunter Henrys, the Eric Ebrons of the world. So I'd be more willing to spend there than to drop down. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. Benny, you're talking me into it. I never paid up for tight end in these things before, but there is definitely a hierarchy. And as a matter of fact, in one of my auctions this year, I'm going to go get Travis Kelce and then figure it out from there. That makes perfect sense.
I mean, because here's the way I'm looking at it is, you get, to me, again, with these 3 guys being 32, 29, and 26, I think Kelce is clearly the best of the 3.
Yep.
I think the other 2 are very good, and they're better than anybody else we're going to talk about behind them. But I think Kelce, of those top 3, there's a clear hierarchy with Kelce being number 1. So I don't think 32 is crazy to spend on Travis Kelce. Because again, think about it. Like you can get Kelsey for 32 and like Cam Newton for 4, Ryan, Matt Ryan for 6. So really, between your tight end and your quarterback, you only spent $38. That's not even 20% of your salary. You can still go get 2 or 3 20% running backs and wide receivers and fill out your team with a bunch of $7 to $15 guys, which are guys that are, decent players that we've kind of mentioned before.
So. There's a guy that comes in that range right there, like you just stated. Tariq Cohen, David Montgomery, Chris Carson. You want to take a gamble with that? Mark Ingram. Benny, I'm looking at the Travis Kelce team, Benny, and Mark Ingram is on the Travis Kelce team.
Well, read the Travis Kelce team because that guy probably built his lineup pretty much the way I would be doing it if I went and got Kelce. You're probably looking at a little value at running back and wide receiver.
I'm about to say his name, but I don't want to do that. The quarterback is Carson Wentz.
Okay, again, I'm not a Wentz guy, but all right. What was the price that he paid for him?
$9.
Like to me, he overpaid. But go ahead. Like you could even get a $4 or $5 quarterback there and make up another $5. But go ahead.
The running back one is Christian McCaffrey.
Again, nothing wrong with that.
Then you have Sony Michel for $9.
Good price.
The wide receiver one is Amari Cooper at $34.
All right, that's where he had the save to make this happen. But okay, 34 is not a bad price for Amari Cooper though either.
Excellent. The wide receiver 2 is Robbie Anderson at $12.
Where else did he? Well, McCaffrey was 60-something, right?
Now the wide receiver 3 is Shepard at $6.
That's a good price for Shepard, but that's a very weak receiving core.
All right, you got Ingram as 10 for the flex, which is lovely. The McCaffrey, Michelle, Ingram is fantastic, and then you throw in Kelce to give you that. The wide receivers on the bench are Deshaun Jackson, Adam Humphries, and Keel Henry and John Brown, with Deshaun Jackson being a $4 player and then Keel Harry being a $3 player. So basically, paying up for Kelce kind of hampered that second and third wide receiver.
Now, see, the other thing too, though, is like if I did this, I probably wouldn't be pairing him with a Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. Okay.
That's where I think he kind of.
You want to come down to the Melvin Gordon, Joe Mixon range, right? If you're buying, yeah.
That's the way that I would be looking at it because I don't think I would. Again, if you're trying to get him and one of the high-priced wide receivers, that's almost $100 just those two guys. Like McCaffrey and Kelsey's almost $100. That's almost half your salary. I think if you're going with Kelce, what you're really doing is saying I'm going to go with like 2 guys in that second tier of running back. That's the way I would try to do it. Where if I was spending $100 instead of spending $100 on McCaffrey and Kelce, I would try to spend $100 on like Kelce, Chubb and somebody else in that $25, $30 range right there.
I think that's a solid strategy right there. Some more tight ends. Evan Ingram is at 9, Hunter Henry at 11.
I think that's about where those guys should be. I don't think those are bad prices for either one. And again, if you're spending up on running backs and wide receivers and you can get a Henry at 9 or an Ingram at 11 in that $10 range, that's probably where you're going to wind up with them.
Yeah, some of these flex numbers here that are in here that I find interesting. Big Mike Williams at 21. I don't know if I want to spend 21 on Big Mike. I love Big Mike. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
I don't know if he's worth $21. What do you think, Benny?
A lot of mouths to feed over there. I mean, honestly, what my biggest thing, Corey, is last year he was a touchdown guy, right? Like that's kind of where he got all his value for fantasy. Is he going to step forward and see more targets to be a more consistent option? Or is he just going to be a touchdown guy? And again, there's nothing wrong if he's just a touchdown guy. Like he'll still have some value in fantasy, but not enough for me to justify $21 for him.
No doubt. Sammy Watkins at 16. My history with Sammy Watkins is long and storied. I'm done. I'm done.
I'd honestly rather.
I'm done.
I'd rather have Cooper Kupp, Robbie Anderson, or Corey Davis, who we talked about, that were all cheaper than Sammy Watkins.
That's interesting that you would even put Rob Anderson in that mix right there. DJ Moore is 16.
I like DJ Moore. I think that's good. I don't think it's overpriced for him, but I don't think it's cheap either. I think that's about where he should be.
Dante Pettis at 14 is a little bit too high for me. If I'm going to San Francisco, I'm going to take a $1 shot on Deebo Samuel. I just look at the talent. It might be a better play for Dynasty, but that's a 49er wide receiver that I'm going to be in on this year.
So I got Deebo in round 18 of the Scott Fish draft as my wide receiver 7 or wide receiver 8, and I'm perfectly happy with that. I honestly, Corey, I wouldn't be shocked if he's their number 1 this year.
If you just look at the lineage of wide receivers from the state of South Carolina, as Martavis Bryant, there is Alshon Jeffrey, there's DeAndre Hopkins, there's Big Mike Williams. The list goes on and on. It is a state that produces that position, and I will go there all the time when I'm looking for a wide receiver. And I agree with you, Benny. He could be the WR1 on that team when it's all said and done. Kerryon Johnson and Marlon Mack, 21 for Mack, 22 for Johnson.
I don't think either one of those guys are overpriced. I think that's about where they should be. I think that's a good price for them, and I wouldn't even be upset if I had one of them as my RB2.
When I look back, Benny, and look at some of these prices and, really start to break these down, when I look at some of the best values on the board right now, I look at a $36 Dalvin Cook, and I'm like, yeah, I can get with that.
Yeah, again, if he stays healthy, people forget how good he was before he got hurt last year.
Rushing.
Yeah, and as a team,
they were playing that year.
Yeah, as a team, they were doing really well too, and people don't realize how big it is to have balance in the NFL. They have a good passing game. When he's there, they have a good running game. It's so tough as a defensive coordinator to stop that because, if you overcommit to stopping the run, they're just going to throw all over you. If you overcommit to trying to take those wide receivers out, you're just going to give him so much running room. When you can do both of those things, it just makes the offense so much better. So I am expecting the Vikings offense to be a lot more like they were at the beginning of last year as opposed to what they were at the end of last year.
Yep. This $33 Nick Chubb is also an excellent buy, too.
Yeah, I think I have Chubb higher than Dalvin Cook on my ratings. I gotta go look back on my my cheat sheet for drafts. If that's the case, I'll take the guy that I can get for cheaper if I have him ranked higher anyway.
What do you think about a $25 Brandon Cooks?
I'm a little nervous about him this year.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't pay $25 for Cooks. What about $17 for Phil Lindsay?
Again, I'm higher on Lindsay than you are. I kind of trust him and I kind of believe in him, and I just think Royce Freeman sucks and that this is Philip Lindsay's job and it's his job to lose, and he did enough last year to prove to them that he's their guy. Other than an injury, I don't see anything changing for Philip Lindsay from what he did last year.
If I was the Lindsay owner, I would want to have Freeman on this team. My guess is if you want to handcuff Lindsay and Freeman, it might cost you about $21. Would you put $21 in the Bronco backfield?
I would. Again, if you're gonna invest 17 of it in Lindsay already, throwing the $4 in Royce Freeman to have his handcuff is really just good business.
So there you go, right there. That's a little bit of auction talk as a different style of playing fantasy football, but definitely ways you can get involved, and we'll have you covered over there at fantasyguru.com. Draft kit on sale now. I've got to bang out a couple more podcasts for that this weekend, and don't forget Elite Fantasy NFL DFS package already out. What we got going on this weekend, Ben?
We got some MMA this weekend, so Mad Lab will have his stuff up over there. Definitely make sure you guys go and check that out. That'll be something pretty good. I'm going to have some baseball this weekend. I think there's a little bit of – there's obviously golf going on here for anybody who bets on that. Again, not my thing, but it's pretty good. And then we'll probably have baseball stuff up every day as well. Well, not even probably. We'll definitely have baseball stuff up every day as well. Couple things that I'm looking out for tonight in baseball, Corey. I actually really like the Pittsburgh Pirates today at home going up against –
I haven't won a bet with the Pirates all year.
I know. They are one of those teams that's been tough to get, but I like them tonight. Jordan Lyles has been pitching pretty decently. They're going up against the Phillies and Jake Arrieta, who's a guy that I think is kind of on the decline. You're getting good odds on him. One thing that I've noticed that, a lot of other people who bet baseball are probably starting to notice too, the second half of the year, you don't get as much value betting baseball as you normally do. And what I mean by that is when you have a big-time pitcher against a crappy offense, you used to get minus 180, maybe minus 160 on them in the first half of the year. By now, the teams, everybody kind of knows this stuff. So you're getting like minus 200 or minus 250 on some of these teams. And at minus 200, minus 250, you can't really take some of them.
Nope.
So there's not a lot of games that I'm still willing to bet on at this time of year, which is why I've been doing a lot more like team totals.
Yep.
Yeah, because that's something that you can still kind of find some value. I mean, yesterday I got the Houston Astros, who were projected, everybody was loving in DFS and projecting to be one of the top scoring lineups yesterday. Their team total over 5.5 was at a minus 103.
Yeah.
Them to win the game yesterday was like minus 200. You know what I'm saying? So
wonderful.
Yeah, the value is in the team totals for the most part, at least at this point of the year, in my opinion. But one that I like, one money line that I like after I just went on that whole diatribe is, is the Pittsburgh Pirates going up against Philadelphia Phillies. It's only like a 110, 115.
Okay.
I'm willing to take minus 110, 115 on them. And then the one total that I'm really looking at, I think the Milwaukee-Arizona game with Jhoulys Chacin against Taylor Clark today, I'm looking to take the over in this game. I think it was at 9.5 or 10 when I saw it. I looked at these last night, so I got to double check what it is this morning. But I did like the over in that game because when I was breaking that game down, I kind of like both sides to put up some points. And whenever I like both sides to score some runs, that's usually when I'm looking to take an over because it might be like 7-3 and you get the over, or it could wind up being like 6-5 where both teams score a bunch. But Milwaukee, Arizona over is one that I'm taking.
All right, there you go right there. Don't forget Elite Sports Betting. You know what I'm saying? Those picks will be up there. Also stuff from Prize Picks. You get the whole guys, the whole crew's baseball picks for over the weekend. Also got my man Duke holding down some soccer. And you also have to open if you want to get involved and make some money this weekend. A big piece of chicken, Benny. I'll kick it off. Mine is a Phosphorus one. I'm going to give it Phosphorus to my man Stuart Scott, obviously one of the great broadcasters there was ever at ESPN. I was able to meet Stuart Scott some years ago. Real cool cat, you know what I'm saying? Took a picture with me. It was mad dope. Always been a big fan of Stuart Scott, you know what I'm saying? So big piece of chicken to Stuart Scott. He would have been 54 years old today.
Booyah!
Booyah. Cool than the other side of the pillow.
Yeah. So I'm going to give mine actually to Steven Strasburg. Yesterday. Yeah. Well, that's why he gets the big piece of chicken. But the other reason he gets the big piece of chicken, for anybody who has our betting package over at Elite Sports Betting yesterday, they made a pitching change in that game on the Atlanta side of it. They took out Julio Teheran, who was the scheduled starter, and they put in a guy who was basically a AAA pitcher that had like a 7 ERA at the major league level. And I, updated right away when I saw it. I updated my section in the article, and I told everybody, like, go hop on this now because the line's about to move. The line moved from minus 127 on Strasburg all the way to minus 155 by first pitch.
Wow.
So you basically got almost 30 cents of line movement value on that, which is amazing. I mean, anytime you can get closing line value where the line moves in your favor a little bit, you got to be excited. But when you get it when it moves that much, yeah, that's a big, big deal. So, when they made that first announcement and I hopped in there, I put it in the update. I tweeted about it later on in the day, but everybody who was in the package yesterday should have saw that update right away, along with my my tweet that basically said, get your money down on this side because this is now an amazing bet. And it turned out that I was right. Strasburg hitting that home run, making it 8-1, basically was when I stopped even watching that game because I was like, all right, I got that bet. We can go on and, start watching the other things that are a little bit closer here. So shout out for Steven Strasburg. He pitched well, and he went yards, so that, basically gave me nothing to worry about last night.
All right, there you go right there. Everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy yourself. We'll be back bright and early Monday, 1 week closer to kickoff of the 2019 fantasy football season or the NFL season. For my man Benny, is Corey Parson, the fantasy executive. We out.